difficult to try and give you the precise steps that we are going to take to meet that target. It's very clear that it's a very ambitious, bold announcement for a country like India, which has major developmental challenges, which has a population of 1.34, 1.35 billion people, whose energy consumption is one-third, per capita consumption is one-third the global average, and where energy consumption is on the rise, where we have clear mission mode objectives on green hydrogen. We are doing things on biofuel. We are moving from 1% in 2014 to 20% biofuel mixing by 2025, which was earlier the target for 2030. We are moving on gas from 6 to 15%. All these are already underway. But clearly, with the announcement that the Prime Minister made on about 2070 net zero and some of the enhanced commitments on what we have to do by 2030, we will have to take additional steps, and I think all of us who are dealing with energy related issues will have to decide. I am very clear that the acceleration of steps will have to take place across the board. I mean, when we talk about green hydrogen, when we talk about increasing the gas pipeline from current 18.5 thousand kilometers, is going to go up to another 4,000 kilometers in the next 4 or 5 months to 34,000 kilometers across the board, all that. But as I said, these targets are very new, and I think the government, in order to ensure, this is the template, these are the objectives, what precise steps we will take in each area, that will come in. Now, many of the actions which are on the drawing board already are in pursuance of commitments made by a number of countries. Now, I'm not talking about India, I'm talking about global efforts. And I think, I don't want to characterize the world into a developed and developing, into consumer and producer, because I think at the end of the day, countries like India defy categorization. We are both a consuming country, we are also a producing country. We are stepping on to our exploration and production sector. But even as we transit from traditional fuels to green fuels, I mean, it stands to reason that we will have to be reliant on traditional fuels for many, many years to come, because the transition is at the end of a point. But now that we have to complete 50% of the transition by 2030 and then most of it or later, that is where the challenge lies. But I think once the Prime Minister has made the announcement, I think most of us are very clear in our minds that this is not a choice anymore. This is an imperative which we have to meet. I wouldn't say that discussions are a one-time thing. I mean, I made that statement in October. I've had meetings bilaterally with the ministers of Saudi Arabia, UAE, with Kuwait. I met several, Russia today. I met other. This is an ongoing process. The prices of petrol and diesel, which have been set by OPEC Plus, have not been set because there is a shortage. There is no shortage. I mean, 5 million barrels are available readily offhand. It can be introduced. It's a conscious decision by them individually and collectively as part of OPEC Plus not to release it for reasons which they have to. The only point I make to them is that, look, if you have to manage the transition, because nobody is going to go into green energy tomorrow, with the best will in the world, the transition has to be a gradual process. It is in the interest of both consumers to have an orderly transition which is predictable and stable, and for the producers as well, consumers and producers. Because if the transition is not orderly or not according to predictable line, then the volatility and the disruption which will take place in the market can result in all manner of other consequences. I mean, you're already seeing some of the results of that. I mean, it's not as a consuming country. So, one country has decided it's going to release 1 million barrels of shale on a daily basis, starting soon. Other people are talking about reactivizing. I saw a statement from the President of France, I think, if I remember correctly, on reactivizing the civilian nuclear energy issue. Now, you know, civilian nuclear energy is an area where large number of countries have invested a lot. India, we have a bilateral agreement with the US. We have an India-specific IAEA safeguards agreement. We have an agreement with the Nuclear Suppliers Group. Because of Fukushima, all that took a back burner. We ourselves are stepping on our E&P sector. In gas pipeline alone, we are expecting $60 billion of investment. We are increasing the area under 0.25 million square kilometers to 0.5 million square kilometers to then 1 million square kilometers. Now, if you take that, exceed there, or the people will take contingency action. You know, there will also come a time when you will have to factor in the fact that if you have post-COVID a global economic recovery, that economic recovery can be and is being undermined. I mean, you already have figures in one large $20 trillion economy of the world where the inflation figures are the highest in 30 years. Now, you can argue that that inflation is not due to high energy prices. It can also be due to, you know, availability of containers, ships, etc. But you can go on arguing. The fact is that if after COVID, when there was an economic lockdown, almost total, then slow down and you opened up, if that economic recovery is undermined by high energy prices, then who is the loser? The consumers will always, but the producers will. Then you can have all the oil in the world. I mean, if you don't have any buyers, so it's a picture which does not lend itself to easy characterization. Therefore, I don't go to oil producing countries and please reduce the price. That's not my job to tell them. My job is to look, you told us you want a transition. We are making the transition. We are making bold commitments on our own, but the transition has to be jointly managed. I think the message is going home. Your answer was what effect is it having? I don't know what effect it's having now or next month. Everybody says by next year it'll be all right, etc. But I think a fair amount of disruption can be caused even before the end of next year.